England's a lovely place to drive around, but when you come to the capital, to London, forget the car. Just walk around and soak in the sights from Regent Street to Oxford Street. That's Piccadilly Circus, Leicester Square. It's a wonderful place to walk around. Then get onto the tube, get to St John's Wood Station, and a short walk away is this wonderful stadium that people in that part of the world, of course, call the home of cricket. That could be a topic for debate, but certainly it's a wonderful stadium, a wonderful place to go and play cricket, especially with some blue skies around. Well, I'm going to say it one more time. Yes, it's coming home. Not the football, but the cricket. Because yes, from an English point of view, it has in fact come home to the home of cricket. However, if you're watching Cricbuzz live in India, you might have a difference of opinion. You might feel the home of cricket is something different, perhaps even the Eden Gardens. And if you go by this particular panel on Cricbuzz live, I reckon all three of us are going to be in agreement. Let me welcome Joy Bhattacharya, Gautam Gambhir. Shall we call Eden Gardens the home of cricket?
Absolutely. I think it has always been a home of cricket for India, and it's always great fun playing at Eden Gardens. I think probably the best stadium in India.
No arguments?
Absolutely no arguments. No question about it at all. I mean, they can talk all about it. Lord's, the worst part about it is I'm okay with the ground and tradition. Firstly, when I found out it's not even named after a lord. So I thought it was named after the aristocracy. It's named after a professional cricketer called Thomas Lord, who wanted to make a bit more money on the side and therefore started a cricket ground and then got some money from patrons. But he was very much a commoner, a professional cricketer. In those days, the lords and ladies would never play professional cricket. They would only play amateur cricket. But that is, I mean, that ground is nothing compared to it. The Eden Gardens has far more history right now and far more going for it.
Yes, but I reckon no matter who you are, even if you were Thomas Lord and we had this long show planned talking about how it's the obvious thing in modern day cricket to chase. Now, I reckon our entire show has been thrown out, so we have nothing pretty much to talk about, because for some strange reason, Owen Morgan has decided to go and win the toss and bat first. 9 tosses since January 2017. They've fielded first every time. Why would you go out and bat first here? Can you think of a reason?
Absolutely shocked, to be honest. I thought Morgan hadn't won a single toss against Australia in that series, and every time he was made to bat first. I thought that this was the actually second toss in this series in the 4 games they've played already. This is the second toss he's won, and then obviously he decided to bat. So a little bit shocked, because I thought early morning start with the grass on the wicket, there'll be a little bit of moisture as well, and with 2 new balls, I think they've given it, on platter to India.
They have. I mean, the last time that they actually won a toss and batted first, very different. It was Pakistan, it was Trent Bridge, and they made again over 400. So I wonder if someone reminded Owen Morgan about that, but I can't imagine. Grass on the pitch, maybe if anything, you not only want to chase, but you'd want to try and maybe use those conditions early.
The early conditions, and have a go. And especially if they fancy that it's not that their spin is their strength. Their strength is their new ball attack. So my big thing is, I'm just wondering whether somewhere in their minds they were already mentally this thing that if we have to bat first, we can still win games and say whatever it is. Somewhere they've got stuck in that mentality, because otherwise, frankly, the statistics don't show it. Their own record doesn't show it. I mean, there is absolutely no reason. I can't fathom a single other reason.
Maybe the only reason I can think of is the 2 wrist spinners. They probably would be thinking that in the second inning it might just start scraping a little bit more because of the overhead conditions. It's really hot and dry, so they must be thinking that the wrist spinners might not get the same purchase in the first inning as they would get in the second innings as well. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, I think in England, early morning start, 2 new balls, their strength has been the fast bowling as well from the bowling point of view. And why would you want to bat first?
Yeah, let's have a look at the numbers since January 2017, and this might just tell a story from both teams' point of view. Yes, we were calling it the Chase Masters, assuming that obviously you win the toss and chase first. England, every time they've opted to chase, 100% success record. For India also, pretty healthy, 82. And you could see from Virat Kohli's reaction there, he was like, why did we even come out to toss?
I know, no, he must have thought this is Christmas, boss. I mean, where else will a captain give a present like that to him? I mean, he was shocked, absolutely, you could make out.
But there's obviously got to be a reason. They would have thought about it. It wasn't by accident. No. They will have had a game plan. As you said, maybe you're mentally prepared to lose the toss, and therefore you've made game plans to bat first and you've made game plans to chase. So they're just going with that game plan, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting, because why would you go against a 100% record? I mean, it's not a, I'm not the biggest believer in statistics, because I believe a lot of statistics are old and out of date. But this is statistics, these are the current stats that we are talking about. It's not about what happened 5 years back, it's now. And for them, 9 out of 9 and not to do it is, I don't
And
understand.
look, another problem that can happen by batting first is that in the first game especially, they would be thinking they would need anything beyond 350. So they're already putting pressure on themselves that we need to get 350 plus. And if you're bowling first, at least you've got a target to chase. But right now, when you go into the game batting first, you're already thinking that anything below 350, our bowling cannot defend that. So if you have that kind of a scenario, I would probably look to chase every time, because I know that, okay, I've got a target in mind, I've got a target in front of me, and I can plan my innings accordingly. But if you have to bat first, you're always putting pressure that it has to be 350 plus.
Is it a mindset? I mean, you've got a good record as well chasing. I know we're differentiating between 20 and 50 over, but essentially limited overs. And I mean, obviously you would have preferred to chase, and you've had a very good record.
Look, I think the game has changed just because after the introduction of T20 format as well, because if you see most of the sides, why they've been very successful in chasing is because they try and play two T20s in a 50 over game. They try and approach a 50 over game like a two T20s that till 30 over, even if you're 150 for two. The next 20 overs they would approach as if it's a T20 format with semi-new ball, 5 overs of power play with 5 fielders inside in the first 10 overs. So I think that's why chasing has become much more easier. And if you're chasing 320, 330, if you're 30 overs, 160, you probably only need 115, 20 overs, and you would definitely back yourself to get 115 the last 20 overs with wickets in hand.
Also, you know what Gautam used to, when you're talking about it again, pitches that are changing every time. You're not playing at the same ground. So like Gautam at one time knew Eden Garden like the back of his hand. Okay, so he knew that this is a sticky pitch. If I bat first also, 150, 160 is the target. Because you've played 3-4 matches on that pitch, you know that pitch. Here, every time you're moving from a new pitch to a new pitch, so it's always better not to second guess yourself. Because what do you know is a good target? Is it 350? Is it 300? Is it 400? True. What is a good target? Here at least, you don't know the pitch, and that's what frankly gets him as well.
And another thing, the only way I would look to bat first is if I have so much of confidence in my bowling that even if I get 250, my bowlers can defend that total. If you don't have that much of confidence and the quality in your bowling lineup, I would look to chase every time. And I think if you would have someone like Mitchell Starc, Pat Cummins, Hazelwood or Stanley, I would still be tempted to bat first and put runs on the board, and I know that I've got quality in my bowling lineup who can get the opposition out. But this English bowling does not look that threatening. That it does not have that much of quality that they can defend anything below 300.
Yeah, sort of the mindset that the Sunrisers had in the IPL this year. I mean, you put 120 on, you still felt that you were in the game. But let's just show you the lineups. No change, but still worth having a look at what the personnel they have, because they're going to be out there first and the onus is on them. Sometimes if you've lost the toss, maybe you feel a little less pressure, but I guess the pressure will be on them, because Owen Morgan said, boys, we are batting first and you've got to do it. And I think he needs to lead from the front. That's going to be important. We know Jason Roy and Johnny Bairstow have given them good starts. Two factors, I think, will be crucial are numbers 3 and 4. Morgan because of his form, and for some reason he doesn't do well against India, and Joe Root to bat through the innings, get a big 100 for them.
Look, I think Morgan is someone who always cherishes fast bowling as compared to wrist spin, and when he has to face 2 wrist spinners in the middle overs, obviously he's going to struggle a little bit, because he doesn't have the clear game plan which way he wants to go. Either he goes completely attacking or he goes completely defensive. I think the rotation of strike becomes very, very important for this batting lineup. I think Joe Root is very, very important. Joe Root getting runs will be very crucial for England. The moment Joe Root doesn't get runs, because if you have Morgan, who's not the best of players against spin bowling, Stokes coming after an injury after a long layoff, he's not in the best of rhythms. So if Joe Root and Jose Butler do not get runs, I think they're going to struggle all the time.
We had a chat and Gautam seemed open to the idea of a little experimentation. For example, one, of course, we spoke about David Willey, Jose Butler as well, that kind of form he's in. Maybe tempted to push him a little further up?
My point is that I think what they're doing now is they're saying, this is what we did against Australia, this is what we've got right, and we've lost 1 match. They're not looking at 3 matches, they're saying, okay, put aside the T20s. They've lost 1 match. Should we change our game plan just because of 1 match? So I think that's what they're trying to do, trying to tell themselves that, look, we're a really good team. We aren't the team that we looked in that last 1 match. And I think that's why they will not want to change things. They will want to say, no, this was just for 1 match, are we throwing away the results of so many other matches? I mean, that's how they were probably looking at it.
Also, they've not done badly in the middle overs as such. So they need to really capitalize on that and come. Yes, the 2 spinners is going to be a different matter, but have a look at these figures. In middle overs, which we are talking from 11 to 40, England are actually right up there, 5.87, well ahead of any of the other countries, India in second place. And other than that first match, as Joy just said, this is a record they'll want to look at. They'll probably put this up in their dressing room and say, listen, there's a reason why we are batting first.
Yeah, that's fine, but then sometimes you got to look at the opposition as well. It's not only about the stats, like how Joyda said that he's not been a big believer of statistics, neither am I. I think it's not about what you've done in the past, it's about you playing against a certain opposition. What are they more comfortable in? If India's always been more comfortable chasing, try and make them uncomfortable, especially when there's a tinge of green on the wicket, plus it's an early morning start as well. And I would have definitely put India in, especially in different conditions, what they had got in the previous game. And plus, when we spoke about that idea of maybe shuffling the batting order a little bit, it was only to just try and rattle the spinners as well. Till now, England has never been able to rattle both the wrist spinners. Sometimes it's not that bad to just try and get them out of their comfort zone as well. And England has never pushed Kuldeep out of his comfort zone, and that's where I think he's been very, very attacking, and that's where he's been very threatening as well. Sometimes you got to just try and throw someone in and try and tell him to take him on, so that he knows that someone is looking to go after him. And England has not done that. England can still afford to do it because they bat deep. There are not many teams who can afford to do that, because they only probably play 6 batters and an all-rounder, and then they've got 4 bowlers as well. England has the luxury because they've got David Willey coming at 8, so they can actually try and use either Moeen Ali or David Willey at number 3, so that they can just look to go after one of the leggies.
Okay, so Moeen Ali and David Willey would be one of those are the guys.
I would look to rattle the spinners, because if you see the entire last 4 or 5 games, I think both the spinners have been in their complete comfort zone. I think especially Kuldeep, I think they've not even thought of attacking him. They've tried to look to just play him out. But I think when you bat so deep, you would rather look to send someone.
And Moeen, because he's spinner himself, understands probably better players.
Could be, and coming from subcontinent as well, and it just gives Joe Root a little bit of more time so that he can try and manipulate. And if Moeen gets those quick 20-30, obviously it takes a lot of pressure off Joe Root and Morgan as well. So I probably would if I would have been a captain, I would have definitely thrown someone like Moeen, because Moeen batting at number 7 or number 8 does not give them anything, because he doesn't have that strength to clear the boundaries. He doesn't have that natural strength what David Willey has. So why not just use him and tell him to be absolutely positive against 2 wrist spinners?
Yeah, there was a point when he was opening the batting, but that's a good point. So Moeen Ali or David Willey try and throw Kuldeep Yadav off his line, and Moeen Ali's strike rate also against spin is significantly better than against pace. So we'll wait and see if there's a game plan for England. But all this talk about wrist spin, what's all the fuss about? We thought we'd go centre stage and ask Harsha about this whole obsession with wrist spinners.
Yes, especially in the light of what Kuldeep Yadav is doing. He's got them all flummoxed, bamboozled, and that is because they're not reading him out of the hand. They're not reading wrist spinners out of the hand. We had all that trouble with Rashid Khan during the IPL as well. I mean, I was talking with Saurav Ganguly in the post-game show, and he said, what's the problem? And Gautam can understand that as well. He said, look, that is the one that's coming in, that's the one that's going away, and that's the one that's going fast through. So, but England are not reading it off the hand, and I just wonder if that's going out of the game. I asked Nasir Hussain about this Merlin machine that helps you play wrist spin. He said, but it just comes out of the machine. There is no hand that you have to read, and so I can understand why the wrist spinners are creating more and more trouble, because batsmen are not picking bowlers out of the hand anymore.
Seems simple when it's illustrated like that. Like that, or like that. But of course, you need to have the ball in hand, and definitely England's 12th man Merlin doesn't seem very effective, because really it's the training. It's all very well to have a bowling machine that sends you a ball at pace, but when you're talking about spin, as he mentioned earlier, you can't replicate the hand.
You can't replicate the hand, not at all. In fact, Merlin, it should actually be tougher to play than even a normal spinner, because you can't see the grip. But the point of it is, for whatever so the only thing you see are the rotations, but the point of it is that it doesn't seem to be helping, and obviously Gautam.
Look, I think first of all you need to clear your mind as well. It's the mind that starts creating doubts, and then your technique just go completely out of the window as well, and that is what is exactly happening with England as well. You got to tell yourself that it's just the ball that's coming towards you, rather than creating all that fuss that what's coming towards me and all that stuff. Just look to go towards the line of the ball, and England's been very, very cautious. I think they've been thinking too much about it. I still remember in 2008 when we went to Sri Lanka, when I was making my comeback, and when Ajanta Mendes was there, and Murli and Mendes had an unbelievable series, and me and Viru got 300 plus runs, and there were a lot of other players who used to watch a lot of videos about what Mendes is doing and that knuckleball and stuff. But the point is that I absolutely did not watch a single video, because the more you keep looking at the video, the more you start confusing yourself that how many mysteries does he have, what all variations does he have. Just look to watch the ball and just go towards the ball and just keep your mind absolutely blank. I think that is the best way to go out there and play the bowler, rather than thinking that what variations. If you keep looking about the variation, sometimes even a straighter ball can become really, really dangerous as well. And that is what was happening on that series as well. Because we thought too much about the variations and stuff, there were those straight balls which you would look to score runs day in, day out. People were just getting hit on their pads only because they were looking at the variations well. And exactly is the same thing is happening with England. Even the straight ball is becoming so threatening because they're thinking there's something else coming at them.
If you're listening, you can keep replaying that over and over, because you're getting a masterclass from Gautam Gambhir right here on Cricbuzz Live. For all youngsters, if you have a mystery bowler, or we just like to call them that in the opposition, especially one of these wrist spinners, and if you're watching Kuldeep Yadav, I think lots of young kids will want to try and emulate him, but that's the way to try and play against him if you're a batsman and not a spin bowler. But what about some of these numbers that talk about, just supporting India's stranglehold in the middle overs? And this, I think, will tell you a bit of a story. Choking the opponents since August 2017. 18 wickets in 1 to 10, 73 wickets from 11 to 40, and that economy rate is there. And I think you don't always want to look at numbers, but as a result, India would want to look at that and say that that's something we've done well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the numbers and you actually calculate, I mean, if you had 54 wickets in the next spell, that would have been roughly equal. That means they've done 19 better than their average in the first 10, and that's really, really significant. I think, again, it's a question of, it's been the spinners. And if you see, this roughly goes along with when we started playing the wrist spinners. Because before that, just, Ashwin and Jadeja started having slightly expensive patches. And that's when these guys came on. It's really, really changed the way the game, they're looking at it. And I think that somewhere, some batsman has to break it down. I think, if I was Owen Morgan, his old teammate, because he's played under Gautam, he should be on the call and said, what can I do now, Gautam, help me. Not sure Gautam would help, considering that they're from England, but yeah.
Look, I think honestly, sometimes what I've realized is that media and the ex-cricketers create a lot of hype about wrist spin as well, and it starts playing on the player as well. I remember that there was a lot of hype that was created by Sri Lanka when Mendes was there as well, that he's the new mystery guy on the block and he's got to be the next big thing as well. You just got to shut that out completely as a batter, because once you start thinking about all those that, oh, he's got something different, he's different than the rest. I think, as I just mentioned, it's the mind that starts doubting first, and then you're all over the place as well. So you got to just keep everything out of the system and just look at him as a bowler. Just look at him as just another bowler and try and be absolutely positive.
I have one question for you. Is there ever a spinner who scared you?
Muralidharan.
Seriously?
And I've been very open about it. I've told him on his face that he asked me the same question, that have you ever struggled against a particular spinner? I said, you're the only one. I thought that I had a little bit of sleepless nights thinking that what is he going to throw at me tomorrow, because he was someone which I never picked, to be honest, never picked in my entire career. But still, the only way I could survive against him was to have a positive mindset that I'm going to look to attack, because the moment I go into that defensive mindset, he's going to be all over me and I'm going to be just like his bunny as well. You can never, as a batter, become a bunny of a bowler. You still, even if you're not picking him, you still look to score runs and try and be as positive as you can, so that you can actually put pressure on him so that he can throw some bad deliveries as well. I think England has missed that trick.
Does it help? I mean, just to add one more question to that. If you're a teammate, and now in this IPL era, you play with people from different parts of the world. So you had a Sunil Narayan along with you. Now, if you thought you wanted to become better against him, is playing a lot of him in the nets going to help you as a player next time you play against him in an international game?
Look, a lot of time these bowlers do not throw all the variations in the nets as well. As much as you want to play against these guys in the nets, but there will always be something different when it comes to the match situation as well. So someone like Sunil Narayan never bowled a knuckle ball in the nets. He would bowl seam up. So there's actually no point telling them that I'm going to face you a lot, so that it becomes easier as well. As I just mentioned, that like how a batter has a different game plan when he goes into the game, bowlers have different variations when they go into the game as well. They don't want to expose themselves against every batter, even in the nets as well, because you never know, you might be their opponent in next couple of months as well when you're playing against each other. So I think, as I just mentioned, all these variations, yes, there's a lot of talk recently about different variations, different deliveries, but the most important thing is to try and clear your mind and still look to go towards the ball and try and look to be positive.
I think just the way it's been set up, this is going to be a fascinating game at England's own home of cricket. We know what we're calling it here on Cricbuzz Live. We're sorry we had to be a little bit biased, but that's the way it goes, at least with this particular panel. Well, let's have a look at the Indian 11, just to confirm. No changes for England, no changes for India either. There's no reason to change. The only reason would have been had Bhuvaneshwar Kumar been fit enough to replace the debutant Siddharth Kaul, but Siddharth Kaul retains his place. But the real key once again is going to be the two wrist spinners, Yuzvendra Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav. Interesting to see when they come on. That's the one thing I'm waiting to see in terms of when they come on, depending on how England start against the quicker bowlers. But it's time to head back centre stage to Harsha, who's really been enjoying the English summer. It's wonder how he's going to come back, how different he'll look baking under that sun. But the first question we threw at him was about the surface. A day before the game, is it going to be like Cardiff, Harsha?
I don't know about that because it's right there behind me. It's covered a day before the game, as it always is. What I do know is that it's incredibly hot. It's now about 3 o'clock on the day before the game, and I'm going to come back to India with a tan. It's that hot here. And so it's very tough for the groundsman to actually prepare the surface that he wants. And we had a discussion about that this is almost mandatory that he leaves grass on. And they said, yeah, you can leave the grass on, but it's so dry underneath. And over the years, Lords has now acquired a reputation for producing really flat pitches. So the groundsman will have to do something really special to provide that extra zip and make it a sort of bouncy kind of track. So I think this Indian team is playing so well, I don't think the tracks will matter too much to them. No, I think the time for that is gone. I think the time to decide whether Suresh Raina played at 6, but I think Dhoni will bat at 5 and should bat at 5, and whether Dinesh Karthik should come in was earlier in the series, especially after Raina gave you those 3 overs, his plus in the field. So I think that moment has now gone, and now the time is for someone else to displace Raina or for Raina to fail. So I think for now, at 6, his position is secure. Also, he's a left-hander down the order in a team that's so full of right-handers. So I think his position is now secure.
It's an interesting topic to talk about Suresh Raina, but the first factor is England have to score enough runs for India to have enough runs to chase, for Suresh Raina to be needed to come into the bat the way the top 3 are batting.
Absolutely. I think the way top 3 or top 4 looks at the moment, obviously it's going to be difficult for Suresh Raina to get a lot of opportunity as well. But then obviously I think the backing Suresh Raina, and hopefully he can do a good job for them. And I still maintain that what I said before the previous game as well, that had it been me, I would have given Dinesh Karthik, because if you don't use his form now, I don't think you're going to ever use that form in future as well. But if you're looking at Suresh Raina as your 6th bowler, I think Rohit can do that job as well for you. I think he can roll his arm as well, and he can give you 2 or 3 overs if you want. But then again, I think they're backing them, thinking that he's going to come good, and I hope he does well for India, because obviously he's played a lot of cricket for India and he has that experience as well. So let's see how it goes.
Yes, fascinating game, but of course the only thing that can be more stumping than whether or not Owen Morgan and why he batted first is going to be today's question on the joy factor.
And today I've decided to go easy. Today I've decided to go easy. The England team is having a really rough time, so I've decided to have a really easy one. And obviously now with the World Cup round the corner, the finals round the corner, it has to have a football connection. So here goes. It's a really simple one now. What connects the Melbourne Renegades of the Big Bash League and Manchester City? Simple enough. What connects Melbourne Renegades and Manchester City? This one should get a lot of answers.
Yes, the only thing I can say, maybe it has nothing to do with the necessary fortunes of the two teams in terms of where they finished in their respective leagues. So maybe it's got nothing to do with that, because I know the Renegades have had a tough time.
They have not had the best time at all.
Yes. We won't talk about who supports which football team in the Premiership right now, because that'll be an argument that'll last about half an hour. So
and you're clearly on the wrong side.
Yes, I'm clearly on the wrong side. That's one area we will not agree over here.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll agree on the home of cricket in India, but we're not going to agree on that.
So
but
who does Gotham back?
Gotham backs anyone but Manchester United.
Yes.
You're on the wrong panel, man.
You're definitely on the wrong panel.
Absolutely.
Well, Chelsea.
Yeah,
I lean towards Chelsea.
Not bad. I think my second, obviously after Real Madrid, would be Chelsea.
That's all right. So we're okay. We're okay.
But I'm a big Manchester United fan, so don't go that way.
Yeah. Don't go there.
Don't go. So he can have the red table if he wants to. So let's see if we can come close to agreeing on a figure now. Last time we got it completely wrong. We didn't factor in Kuldeep Yadav. Are we going to factor in Kuldeep Yadav at Lords, depending on England's total? So your prediction for England's final total?
Don't know. I think it's very, very confusing as well, because Personally, I thought that the kind of batting they had and they were batting first, they would get 350, but they were all over the place as well. I hope they get anything beyond 320, because if they don't, then it's going to be another one-sided affair.
All right. So maybe he said beyond 320. So let's, for anniversary's sake, let's give him 325.
No, I'm just saying that to make it a contest. Otherwise, it's going to be a completely one-sided thing. I'm not saying that they would get 320, but I'm saying I hope they do get anything beyond 320 so that they can make a contest out of this game.
All right. In your case, we're just going to go straightforward prediction.
315. It's a time I hate waking up, so 315.
All right. So this time I'm factoring the spinners all over again. I have no idea why he wanted to bat first. Maybe there's something he knows that I don't. So I'm going to stick inside the 200s and I'm going to go for 255, which means Suresh Raina doesn't get to bat again. So that's all we have from Cricbuzz Live. We're going to see much more in the mid-innings show. We're going to talk about India's chase masters because they've been handed the chase on a platter by Owen Morgan.